they've not been recognized. And this is the initiative that we have taken to recognize the importance of clusters to not just India but to the world. The rest of the world, I'm not aware what they are doing, but as far as India is concerned, the government of India is taking a lot of steps and measures to make sure that the clusters get a lot of promotion, they're competitive. Yet there's a lot of lack. Now we don't know where the lack is. What we can do from our side is to bring them on a platform where they can be recognized not simply for their contribution, but they can be recognized for what exactly they can do further. So industries which are large industries to which they cater to come to know more about these clusters. To address this, what we need to do is not just we but India as a whole should create more awareness about clusters. If there's more awareness about clusters, clusters themselves would become responsible to get more proactive. They would probably come up with what problems they face. Today they are only relating to a few officials whom they normally relate to, but otherwise they should be looked at as a complete sector by itself. Just as we look at SMEs, we should look at clusters as an entire sector. If you create that awareness, immediately that recognition would come to them, as I just told you. Marketing and branding, these are very important things for clusters. We need to market these clusters, we need to help them brand. If you look at an example of Amul, it's a cooperative, but it got such fantastic branding. It was simply because of the exercise that they took and the initiatives that they took to make sure that Amul is a brand. If you think of Amul, if you think of milk, Amul comes to your mind. So that kind of branding should happen to clusters. Policy measures. Policies are very important for clusters to grow, because now we are looking at very high-tech clusters. We are looking at clusters who are growing across different industry sectors, from automotives to electronics to nanotechnology, biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, chemicals. You have clusters across all these sectors. So how do you make sure that they are really competitive in this world today? It's only through policy measures. So good policies from the government and support from the banks would go a long way in making our clusters really competitive. If clusters are aware of themselves, of the different clusters that are existing within India itself, they can come together, they can become one huge segment or one entire voice of the country. So exhibitions for them, specific exhibitions, specific programs, specific training programs, specific skill development programs and technological upgradation programs directed only towards clusters and providing them sufficient infrastructure, proper roads, enough water supply, power supply, port connectivity. These are very important for clusters to grow. If we are going to look at clusters coming up on the DMIC, or we're going to look at clusters coming up in different states, how do you connect them? It's only infrastructure which is going to connect them. So the government has to now play a very important role in providing this particular bridge that is required to help these clusters to come together. Mumbai, I feel, is a cluster which was formed automatically. If you look at the entertainment industry, the demand was there, the supply came. So every cluster which has come up which is induced clusters, we're not talking about clusters like Mumbai, which came up automatically or without any support without any government support, which have just happened automatically. We're looking at induced clusters. So these clusters have come up because of primary industry being located in a particular region. So we have had a lot of clusters participating in our various summits, the first and the second edition, as well as at most of our conferences. And we felt that they were ready to do business, they were ready to export. So why not do a summit only for them? That's how we decided to have a summit only for clusters. And yes, GES in this particular, in the third edition, we are trying to share, the theme itself is clusters in one world, perspectives from many nations. So we want our clusters to know what other clusters are like across the world. How have they developed? We have experts coming from New Zealand, from New Zealand. There is Lars, who's coming from Scandinavia. We have so many others. We've got the governor of Antwerp, Miss Kathy Burks. We've got the minister for innovation from Australia. So we have about 30 countries who are participating in this summit. So this is like one slice for all of us to share with the rest of the world on how clusters are being developed across nations. So I think Indian clusters would learn a lot from this, share with them various perspectives. There would be institutions like UNIDO, the World Bank, ILO and UNPD who would be guiding them in various things. Like UNPD would be taking up procurement. Our clusters can definitely participate in exports, and UNPD would be holding a workshop only on procurement. UNIDO would be talking about various relevance of clusters and the role of institutions such as UNIDO in developing clusters. ILO would be talking about the role of skills and skill development, and how ILO plays a very important role in giving these skills in promoting skills amongst clusters. World Bank would be sharing its global practices, how clusters have developed in the rest of the world and particularly in Asia, and how these clusters have become very competitive today. PUM is a very recognized organization in the Netherlands. They would be sharing their perspectives on capacity building. So we have a lot of other institutions, organizations from across different countries who are not just located in a particular country but are globalized, and they have a lot to share with our clusters. It's one summit. In this one summit, there's a lot for every cluster to take back with them and learn from here, and not stop here. They have to work very hard towards achieving the goal of becoming really competitive and globalized.